Hi, Dr. Hassad. So I understand you're a leading professional in your field and sort of area of academic research on mindfulness and mindfulness meditation. So I was just wondering, how would you explain what mindfulness is in layman's terms?
Well, mindfulness is another way of saying paying attention, being present and aware, not only what's going on around you, but also what's going on within you, so self-awareness. Yeah. And the way of cultivating mindfulness, you could think of it in two main ways: training attention in a mindful way. You could call that mindfulness meditation if you liked, but then getting out of the chair and being mindful in our day-to-day life. So it's also a way of living, it's not just a form of meditation.
Yeah, and I guess expanding more upon that, in our sort of like time-poor and fast-paced everyday lives, how would you say we should best apply mindfulness, especially maybe for people who have difficulty meditating?
Well, look, the world is getting more fast-paced and also more distracted all the time. There's a whole lot of reasons for that. And the cost of being unmindful, the cost of inattention, distraction, costs us massive amounts of time. The way to cultivate mindfulness, means taking some time to actually practice paying attention. Morning and evening, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, sitting down, practicing some mindfulness meditation. But then getting out of the chair, and when our mind wanders into what ifs and maybes about the future, and we lose focus on what we're doing, just to have a way of gently bringing our attention back on task. And the senses are the way to do that, because the body is always in the present moment. The mind hardly ever is, but the body is. And so the body communicates with the world through the senses. So just getting back in touch, listening to what the person's saying, looking at what's in front of us, tasting the food we're eating. So it's a very simple but direct, practical way to sort of re-engage with reality, really.
And sort of in the long term, I guess, if someone practiced mindfulness for a long time, what sort of psychological and I guess mental health benefits would it have?
Well, there tends to be significantly less mood problems. So one of the main areas, probably the most important single area, has been the use of mindfulness to help prevent the relapse of depression. So people are much less likely. It's because those depressive, negative trains of thought that come into the mind, just because we're mindful doesn't mean those thoughts never arise again, but we can be more aware about whether or not to get on that train, to make a choice, whether I want to engage with that negative train of thought, but also more positive experiences. So the person, in a sense, the world livens up. The person, rather than just eating on automatic pilot while the mind's somewhere else, and tastes the food and enjoys the food, is more present in the social interactions in their day-to-day life. So really engaging with friends and really, when playing sport and having leisure time, not, having a leisure time while the mind's still thinking about work and other things. It's just to really engage in what we're doing.
I think it's such a shame to, I guess, sort of miss sort of such big chunks of your life and not be present and give 100% into every situation. So I guess there's a quote that goes something along the lines from the ancient Taoist philosopher Lao Tzu, and I think he says, if you're depressed, you're living in the past; if you're anxious, you're living in the future, and if you're at peace, you're living in the present. So is that what, I guess, would you agree that sort of underpins mindfulness?
That's bread and butter mindfulness.
Yeah.
They're very wise words.
That's great.
Yes, because we're thinking these days, it's some new idea. It's not a new idea. Every culture has actually realised the importance of this. And in a way, the interest in mindfulness is arising as an antidote to this sort of disease of modern distracted existence.
How would you say we can use mindfulness in particular to sort of mediate our relationship with technology and social media?
Well, a lot of people, especially young people these days, have an addiction to the technology, cannot control the behaviour anymore. It's a low awareness habit, it's just pretty much consuming the life. And you see this kind of idea of being connected like that the whole time means there's a profound disconnect from where we are and who we're with and the environment we're in, and which is not necessarily very mindful. So technology can be wonderful and it can have some great uses, but we need to, in a sense, be the master of it, not its servant or slave. The two best mindfulness apps in the world are Headspace and Smiling Mind. Smiling Mind's a Melbourne-based app and free, but they're the two highest rated in the world, but there are lots of other really good resources out there, as well as a Monash course that we developed as well, which is on the Future Learn platform, Mindfulness for Wellbeing and Peak Performance, and that's a free course that runs a few times a year as well. So there's plenty. Technology can help as well as hinder.
take us away from our constructed self-images and more towards focusing on our environment and other people, I guess, finding meaning and presence within that.
That's right. And that, you see, that's where so much of our negativity and our insecurities are being constantly fed, because our attention's being sucked into this sort of inward turning preoccupation about self. So helping to loosen the sort of tendency to get caught in that, helping a person to open out their attention. It's like moving into a bigger world, I suppose you could say.
Thank you so much for your time and for, I guess, giving us such a comprehensive explanation and of how mindfulness can be applied to our daily lives.
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.